Ray Davison, I'm from Sydney, and the reason I gave it up was there was an ad on TV they had years ago, and it was the first sort of ads they had against cigarettes and things like that, and it was a sponge, and somebody wringing his sponge out and filling a jar of some description, and I forget the caption on it, but I just got home from work on the waterfront, and I walked across the road and got the local paper, and I came back home, I sat down, I lit a cigarette, I opened the paper up. At the same time I just turned the TV on. Back in those days you didn't have remote control, so I turned the TV on, I sat down, and as the screen came on, that ad was on, squeezing the sponge. And in the newspaper when I opened it, back at the same time they used to have an advertisement of a full-faced advertisement of a woman's face and a man's face. And underneath it, the caption was, "This is what it's like," with an ashtray tipped over it. And underneath it, the caption was, "This is what it's like to kiss a smoker." And I just lit a smoke, and I thought I'd already given up about 3 months before that. About 6 months before that, I just decided to give it up. I lasted 3 months. Anyway, I was out one night socialising, and I had a cigarette before I realised what I was doing, and I just smoked again. But I think, for me, I don't think I was a real heavy smoker. Although I was a full-on smoker, I used to smoke drum tobacco because I worked in the waterfront. So the reason I smoked drum tobacco, which rollies, was it saved me. It was too easy to pull a cigarette packet out of your pocket and just light a cigarette. So if I wanted a cigarette, I had to actually make a job of it. So anyway, after seeing those two, the TV ad and the paper ad, I put that cigarette out, and that was it. Like, stop smoking. 31 or 3 years ago that I gave up smoking, and that was the reason I gave it up. And thankfully, too, not knowing that later on I was going to have health-related issues concerning that would have been, smoking would have been so detrimental to my health, it wouldn't have been funny. I decided to, after each meal, or having a cuppa, as you do on the waterfront, and you like to have that cigarette, I thought, like, I'll do a bit of weaning myself off it. So when I do that, I'd light up a cigarette and have one drag out of it, put that cigarette out and hang on to it. And the next time I had another meal, whatever, I'd do the exact same thing. I'd done that for a week, and then I just went cold turkey. I smoked probably a packet every day and a half. But when I was drinking, I might smoke 2 packets in one night. Those drinkers do. And back then, being a young bloke, sort of went out Saturday night, Friday night, so smoking about, I don't know, 15 packets a week, I suppose, altogether. Especially when you have a cuppa or a meal, was the times that you really wanted to smoke. And I remember that there's no sort of period of time when you're over it, 6 months, a year, or 2 years, 3 years. There's no given time that you're over it. I believe that's all down to the individual, because I remember I used to get these urges. This is like a good 10 years into giving up smoking, where I'd be in the company of my friends on a night out or something, and somebody would have a cigarette, and I'd have this almost uncontrollable urge to just grab a cigarette off one of them that they've already lit and start smoking it. So, like, I just believe there's no given time when you're actually over it. My first sort of thoughts about that when I first gave it up was, when you got the taste for food, you can actually taste food, you could smell things much better. I remember, like, a couple of months into giving it up, I could run further and faster than I used to. So health-wise, and also, like I said earlier, moving down the track, health-wise today, knowing that if I'd have continued smoking, that a man may not even be around today, because I have health-related problems with my with my veins. Not so my heart's okay, but my veins. And smoking was just totally no good for it, you know. Anyone who smokes today, there's something wrong with them personally to not be able to absorb all the advertisement that's around them on all the health issues and the other things that are associated with cigarette smoking. If they don't take notice of those things, there's something seriously wrong with those people. I think people that smoked years ago had reasons why they smoked, and part of that reason was the advertisement that the cigarette companies put out were the most wonderful advertisements, and they sort of almost seduced you into thinking smoking was the thing to do, you know, like you had the different cigarette ads where people are flying across the Mediterranean with, you know, like pretty people smoking and saying this is where it's at, and people riding across mountains on horses and stuff like that. Anyway, all seducing you. So in a sense, we were seduced into smoking and not realising, and the advertising for the health wasn't there all those years ago. So you didn't know that you were doing things that was absolutely no good for your health. Whereas today people do. It's around them every single day. It's on the TV. It's in the papers. It's on billboards. You know, and for people to smoke and know that later on in life they're going to finish up or possibly finish up with serious health issues. Emphysema being one of them. If they could go to a hospital and see somebody that's suffering with emphysema, or go to their house and see them on oxygen bottles and stuff like that, they may think twice about it. But yeah, that's the sort of main thing I can't comprehend, especially young people today. Smoking, I just can't comprehend that they just totally ignore all the information that's around them, and they continue to smoke where they just shouldn't be, you know.